Beat with Dr. Benita Zahn.
How do you process tragedy? Well, that's something this country's been dealing with through the pandemic. A local woman had to deal with the devastating loss even before the world shut down. She turned to words to help her and created a play following the death of her son Patrick at the hands of a drunk driver in Saratoga County. The play 13 Suits, A Mother's Monologue, was produced by the Outer Loop Theater Experience. Joining us now is Rachael Yoder. She's the company's managing director, and Michael Herman, the founder and co-artistic director. Good to have you both here.
Thanks for having us.
So Patrick Duff's mom, Catherine, wrote this play. She's a little camera shy, so you're fronting for her. Share with us what the monologues deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, after Patrick's tragic death in the hit-and-run accident, Kathleen wrote a series of reflections to help cope with her grief. And she wrote these, they're very poetic reflections after Patrick's death, and people approached her and kept saying, you know, these reflections are so beautiful, you should publish this, it should be a book. But she was thinking on it, and she approached us and said, you know, this doesn't feel like a book to me. It feels like a piece of theater. So we've had our theater company, the Outer Loop Theater Experience, for about 11 years now. And Kathleen approached us and said, hey, I think this is the play. Can you turn this into a play? And so we've been pretty familiar with documentary style theater, things such as the Laramie Project, Anna Devere Smith's work. And we thought, these poems could really be a series of monologues, and we could turn this into a monologue style theatrical event. So that was sort of the jumping off point for how to take poetry and turn it into something more theatrical.
How did Kathleen come to you?
Yeah, I grew up with Kathleen's daughter, Maura, and we were from the same neighborhood. We've got sort of like a neighborhood little family community. And so I grew up with Kathleen and also with Patrick. And so I've been close to her for a very long time.
So you're a 518 girl, huh?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Niskayuna all the way.
We were talking because you're from Long Island, as I am,
Yep.
so that Michael is. So we've covered the state.
Yeah.
But she brings this poetry to you. Walk us through the adaptation to a play, so that you know those words will land in a healing fashion.
Yeah, it's a great question, Benita. So as a playwright myself and a director, you know, when Kathleen approached us with these poems, basically these reflections, a lot of the adaptation process was taking a look at these pieces and determining whether the language that they were written in could be activated and given a dramatic structure and applied to, you know, the playwriting process. And remarkably, as everyone will see when they see the production, remarkably, the language, even though Kathleen had never intended initially for them to be, you know, theatrical monologues, the language is incredibly active and lends itself to, as we're seeing in rehearsal, to the actors just finding the, you know, the intention, the motivation, and the characters that they're developing already there. So very little had to be done in terms of adapting Kathleen's actual poems, but the challenge really for us came in as playwrights and producers was it couldn't just be Kathleen's reflections turned into monologues, of which there are 20. There had to be additional material created around those and woven, you know, into the entire piece to create more of a theatrical experience. So we asked Kathleen, we sat down with Kathleen and we asked her to tell us some like funny stories about Patrick, his friends, his childhood, you know, work meetings he fell asleep in and snored during a meeting with the national boss of the company, or a dog attacking his leg and chewing his suit pants on his first day at work with his only suit, you know, things like that we could weave in and around these otherwise very, very tragic and kind of, you know, sad, grieving, you know, reflections of a mother who had lost her son. So over the course of about a year, we we wrote and weaved in that new material. And then we had a staged reading of it in Schenectady in 2019 to see how that worked.
And now, obviously, this has to be done virtually. So we get to sit in our home and experience this. So what is the catharsis for us as we may be grieving myriad losses at this difficult time?
That's exactly it. I think this is, you know, virtual theater is a challenge, obviously. We're all used to sitting and syncing our heartbeats with each other in the same space. But at this time, we need the empathy and the catharsis that theater can provide more than ever. And the beauty of this piece is that with all of the different women who are playing the mothers who are delivering these monologues, you're seeing these people in their homes in these very private moments of grief. And you're able to witness that from your home in this moment of collective trauma. And I think what the piece really does a nice job of doing is reminding us that even though our experiences of this moment are disparate, that our feelings of loss and pain and grief and hope and love are actually all the same. So even though we can't gather in a space, I think the story is so human and so universal that it really connects us at this difficult time.
So 2 quick questions for you, and then we got to go because you know that clock is the keeper here. 13 suits. Okay, we know a dog destroyed 1 suit, but why 13 suits if there are 20 monologues?
It's a great question. So one of the 20 monologues that Kathleen wrote is called 13 Suits, and in that piece she talks about how even though Patrick started out with only 1 suit, and that was like the thing that symbolized, you know, growing up and starting to become an adult and leaving childhood behind. What he had amassed over the course of the years he was working professionally were 13 suits, and what it took her in terms of the grieving process in finally reaching that stage of acceptance is walking to the closet that day 2 years later after his death and taking all of his 13 suits and finally boxing them up and getting rid of them, but giving them away and donating them to an organization for young men who couldn't afford suits for their first job interview or to go to their first day of work. So that's where the title comes from and the concept of 13 Suits.
Love it. Now, your production goes on the end of February. What happens after that? Because people are going to be seeing this after the production. Are we able to get online and view this at any point? And then I know that the show is you're making a donation to the Niskayuna Community Action Program. So twofold. 1, can we watch this at any time? 2, do we have to pay, or do we just make a donation if we want to?
Yeah, absolutely. It was really important for us for this production just to be donate what you can. We feel that price should never be a barrier to people witnessing live theater. So even if you can only donate $1, or even if that's too much, just send us an email and we'll get you a link, and you'll be able to view this after the production has closed.
Wonderful. And of course, I'll put the link up. So this will be about the last thing I say after I say thank you. Thank you so very much. I'm so looking forward to seeing the production, and my heart, of course, continues to go out to the Duff family. And great work, gang. Keep it up. Look forward to chatting with you.
Thanks, Benita. We appreciate you having us on to talk about it. But you too.
And thanks for spending time with us. For more info on the Outer Loop Theater and the show 13 Suits, A Mother's Monologues, just go to the link section at WNYT.com. Till next time, be well.